Good morning. Here, let me see if I can clean my lens a little bit there. Uh, Not much better. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday, 8:30 ante-meridian. And what a beautiful, lovely morning it is. Woke up at 6:30 today, took the dog out for a little stroll. Came in, edited the audio version of AG Today, which is available for free, as always, over on Patreon. You can go and listen to it there. And there's a few other episodes that I've made available for free that are actual history episodes, in case you want to cheat a little bit and get a glimpse as to what millions of Americans have yet to discover is going on over there on patreon.com. So we're driving around town today. We're on the old Harrisburg Road. Good morning, Donald. Good morning, Russell. And I figure, I don't know, where should we go? Where should we go? Let's go right. We're going to turn right here. We're now on Carlisle Street. Always like that little house there, the blue house, bluish house. Nice porch. A couple of nice porches on this block. Love a good porch. Love a good porch. Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Marie. Good morning, Peter. Oh man, I'm getting angry with the blue sky down there. Still gray and rainy here. You know, I gotta tell you, that, now let's see, I've lived here a total of 10 years. Not consecutively, but 5 and 5. And I really can't complain about the weather here. I mean, yeah, I could go, oh man, the summer's really humid and really hot. But then you get years like this. Is this a La Nina year or an El Nino year? Because this year has not been that bad. Even the winter was pretty temperate. In the last several winters, it's been a little temperate, and it's not so unbearable for me. Yeah, springs are beautiful. Fall is beautiful. It's just this area of the country. If I have to stay on the eastern seaboard, this isn't bad. Because, you know, if you grow up, you're used to winter. A lot of people say this, so I don't know if I could live without winter. Even though I hate it, it still wouldn't feel right. You know, Christmas in the desert in Arizona, yeah, for a lot of people that move out there from here, it doesn't feel right. But, so here, but that's infrequent. And, I wasn't living here in those 8 years between when I left and when I came. The dark ages, I call them. All my memories of Gettysburg were sunny. And, I mean, and I spent, don't forget, those first 5 years, I spent every day from April to October sitting outside wishing people would come by and rent bikes and take tours. Well, not wishing, I mean, they did. But I was out in it, so I have a pretty good feel and handle for the weather. Still, like I can almost predict it just by looking at the sky. Not always, like maybe 7 out of 10 times I'm right. But, and that's, I think, from just being out in it all the time. You learn the patterns and stuff like that. Winter I'm not good at. It's the summer I'm good at predicting. Winter, unpredictable. I don't stay outside in the winter, so I have no connection to nature at that point of the year. But summer, I certainly do, because I love it. Anyway, it's a gorgeous day today. What is it? 74 degrees. I don't even need, I got my air on, but I don't need it. Feels like late September, early October. No humidity. Gorgeous. Just gorgeous. All right, we want to be careful of people going the wrong way. I'm not going to report them or correct them because, you know, although I should, because I just waved and they didn't wave back, so maybe I should make their day miserable. But I'm not gonna, because I think it's safer to go against traffic. That's what I believe, from also experience. All right, let's see. Can we get a good view? Are you moving to Camp Hill? No, Kevin. Hell no. Kevin, read my lips. Hell no. Wait. Read my lips. Hell no. I don't know where, but I'm moving out of town. And we're actually going to look at a place today out in Fairfield. But you know, I mean, I said to Cindy, Cindy, now, even though they're putting pressure on us, they're saying, you know, if you look at it and you like it, you know, the agent is away on vacation and we'll be back Monday. And so she said that she's going to send someone else, but, you know, be prepared to sign the lease on Monday if you like it. And but the other person who's actually going to show it to us said, be prepared to sign the lease tomorrow if you like it. So we finally found out that the actual agent whose account it is said, no, Monday, don't worry about it, which is good because it gives us 3 days to think. And I said to Cindy, I'm like, now, just because it's the first one we see, doesn't tell you. And I think a lot of you who are trying to rent in the area have already discovered this. Pickings are slim. Not that there aren't places to rent, but they're either too much, the rent is too high, or they're dumps. And so, or it's more house than we need, whatever. But this house, it's supposedly all remodeled inside, new everything. From the pictures, it looks very nice and modern. I don't like the outside. The outside kind of looks old and needs updating. But who cares? The plan is stay there 2 years, save up money for a down payment on a home to buy. Or whatever. A home or a yacht, an airplane perhaps. But probably a home, because that will be hard enough. Peter said, used to go down to Fort Frederick at the end of April to their market fair. It was always a nice break from upstate New York winter. Down your way, it was always 4 weeks ahead of us. Yes, that's the thing I love. So North Jersey, if I recall, winter would officially get the hell out of Dodge late April maybe, but then it would go straight to 85 degree weather as soon as May came along. And I remember my father saying, when I was a kid, there used to be gradual, like a ramp up to hot weather, and now it just poof goes to hot weather. And that was 40 years ago when he was saying that. And now I've noticed spring has come back. Let's go this way. But anyway, when I moved down here, I realized, when I would talk to people back home, and I'd be like, oh, it's 75 degrees today. And they're like, really? It's 50 here and rainy or whatever. And it was 75 degrees. It was like today, a day like today in March. And we even get days like that in January once in a while. Those are, few and far between, but we get them. We're like a few weeks ahead of your area in the spring and a few weeks behind. October is nice and beautiful all the way through to basically November. I remember one year I was working down in Maryland with a construction company, and we were building a road in, where was that? It doesn't matter. And it was October 28th and 85 degrees, and we were sweating our asses off. And it was like that for the whole month and a little bit into November. And it was like, this is great. Meanwhile, everybody back in New Jersey was freezing already. Ty says, I want to keep fall and spring, but winter can shove off. Amen. Tom Canavan says, morning, everyone. Want to thank Matt for allowing me to sit in on AG today. It was great to see and meet the crew. It was great to have you on there, Tom. Always nice, especially when you come with chocolates. I know Veronica will appreciate those when she gets back in and sees them sitting there on her spot. And thank you for the books as well. That will add to, well, I added mine to the library. Veronica has hoarded hers and brought hers home. So much for redistribution of wealth there, right, Ronnie? But yeah, no, it was nice to have you. I miss seeing you, Tom. Like, I remember for a while it seemed like you were coming down quite often, and now it seems like it's once a year. I don't know, or that's just at least my memory. So it's nice talking to you before the show when no one was around, too. What's tomorrow's weather going to be like? Well, Marie, it's going to be nice, but for future reference, look at the Get Out of the Car tours as a pilgrimage of sorts. And, you know, we're not just history nerds, we're Gettys. And Getty's nerds are not afraid of a little rain. And true Getty's nerds, members of the Officers Club, are not afraid of a little lightning. Why, I remember one time I was out playing in the lightning, carrying a metal rod, saying, come on, lightning, give me your best shot. And it tried to hit me, but it missed. It missed. Instead, it hit my cousin next to me, God rest his soul. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, yes, do not let weather interfere with your learning and your paying homage to those who fought this battle. But it's going to be nice. I don't know. I, for one, like getting caught in the rain, and pina coladas. But I do. I like getting caught in the rain during the summer. Winter, no thanks. Fall, if it's cold, no thanks. But summertime, a summertime shower, oh, especially if there's some thunder and wind in there, you really just feel, I don't know, something. I love it. So I wouldn't, I will, unless there's like a warning of a tornado coming through, which we do get warnings like that for a while, you know, once in a while. I'm not very likely to cancel a tour because of weather, because A, we don't schedule in rain dates, and B, we're tougher than that, folks. We're tougher than that, okay? Happy Friday to you, Rich. No, I wouldn't commute from Camp Hill. I'm not really looking forward to commuting from Fairfield. But I was hoping that we would find something a little closer, like maybe 4 miles out of town. But again, there's just not a lot available. And I've always, whenever I've rented a place, I always dealt directly with the property owner. I never dealt with a management company. And I don't particularly like that. I don't like go-betweens. I like to deal directly with the person who makes decisions. I don't know. I do. Maybe it's an ego thing. I'm not sure what it is, but I've never liked dealing with the go-betweens because their job is to deflect and protect the boss man. And I don't want to deal with their bullshit. I want to go right to the boss and get the answer I need. Yeah, whatever. Call me an asshole. So I I don't like the idea of a management company, but they make you fill out like a full application just to look at the house. And then they act like it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to want the house, and they'll tell you, you know, oh yeah, if you like it, you got to sign the lease that day. And I'm like, what kind of bullshit is that? But whatever. If you decide to buy, my brother and sister-in-law live in Fairfield and do real estate. Oh, really, Rich? Well, do they know maybe some property owner who's not working through a real estate? I'm sorry, a property manager, and or putting his property on one of those websites like Zillow or Trulia or whatever. Like, do they know someone that they can put me directly in touch with who's got place for? We need at least a 2-bedroom. Well, we need a 2-bedroom. And anything more than that. The place we're looking at is a 3-bedroom, and it's got like 2 living rooms. And we're like, well, what are we gonna do with that extra bedroom and that extra living room? I mean, yeah, we can have. Well, and that's the thing I'm looking forward to, is having friends over. I always, like, when I was growing up, my house was the place where all my friends came. My sister's friends came. My parents were very cool about that. And then, you know, when I would go visit my family down in Virginia, people were always coming over to their house, and we'd all just have fun and talk, and the adults would drink, and as I got to an adult, I would drink with the adults, and we'd eat and laugh and tell stories and just have a nice time. And since I moved here, I've always wanted to do that, but I figured, oh, well, you know, someone will do that, and nobody ever has anybody over, and so it has to be me. And right, of course, it always has to be me. So, but I'm happy to. I want people over. I just don't like the place I'm in now. It's small. It's fine for me, but the minute Major went from 20 pounds to 30 pounds, it became much smaller, and now she's 600 pounds. And she's like the size of a horse. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to having people over and making it a welcome home. And luckily, Cindy agrees with me on that one. And actually, she agrees with me on everything, and I agree with her. It's kind of weird, I'll be honest with you. And I tell her this. I tell her it's very unusual for me to find a woman who is not all about conflict. And it's nice to be able to discuss things, even if it's a topic, you know, like finances, for example, that people have a hard time talking about, which makes people tense. We just talk, and it's really great. And you may be saying to yourself, yeah, it's what it's supposed to be, idiot. And it's like, yeah, but I've never met anyone who's capable of that. So it's very refreshing to finally get what you've been looking for your whole life. And she'll dump me in 3 months. All right. Peter Zach, sometimes renting is the same as paying a mortgage. Oh, it is. So we have a strategy here, or a strategic idea, because I've always thought I'd want to live in Fairfield, but I've always said, if I would like to live in Fairfield. I like Fairfield as a town. It's a cool little town. Very nice, very quiet, very sleepy, beautiful surroundings. But I never thought about the idea of living out of town in the Fairfield area. Mainly because I'm like one of these all or nothing people. My dream is to live on a farm with barns and a nice house. I can have horses and everything like that. But what does that require? Wait, I'm trying to think. What the hell is it called? Oh, money. And lots of it. And so that's probably never going to happen. So I'm like, all right, well, whatever. I live in a town where if I go in my backyard, if my house is on the right side of the town, I can look out on other people's farms and dream. But I never really thought, like, what would it be like to live out in the countryside near Fairfield? So that's where this house is. That's where we've been looking. And so the idea is, 2 years we'll give ourselves to really see if we like it and save money for a down payment. So we don't want to permanently rent. They say by 2030 you won't be able to own anyway because all the properties are being bought up by BlackRock and all these big Zillow, and the idea is everybody's going to only rent while the big corporations own all the properties. So I'd like to know what it's like to have the dignity of home ownership before that happens, and that's the goal. Yeah, we were even talking about the pros and cons last night because I said to her, it's an industrial complex that my office used to be in when I worked up in Harrisburg in insurance, which is off of exit 69, giggity. And it's a 55-minute hour drive from Gettysburg. And I said, are you really sure that, it's one thing to move down here, but go to Fairfield is like going a little further away from everything. And she's like, no, I've already mapped it out. I've, clocked it, and I'm fine with it. Because she has to drive for work anyway, like to Reading and Red Line sometimes. So it's part of her job. And she's a hitman. And she's not a hitman. Just kidding. A hit woman. So what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Oh. And they were talking about other pros and cons. I go, so where this property is, like, Chambersburg is, not too far away. We got to go up into the mountains for that. And then, hello, good morning. And then, but like the closest Walmart is probably like 12 miles. I haven't clocked it, but, it's in Gettysburg. But on the other side of Gettysburg, we're on the west side, and Walmart's on the east side. Also, closest grocery store is in town, but it's got limited selection and it's a little more expensive. So you want to go to Giant outside of town, but that's on the east side as well. And so, there's not a quick run to the store. Like the closest convenience store, there's one in town, but it's a gas station convenience store, so they don't have a lot. It's not even a Sheetz, ladies and gentlemen, where you can get a hot meal. So, she's like, yeah, no, I know, I thought of all that too, and we'll just have to prepare and stock up. And it's like, okay, as long as you're aware. If you got the money, honey, I've got the time. So we're turning on Bernie Avenue, going around the peach orchard. Kevin says, how did Ronnie like the new chair you bought for her? She loves the way it looks in the box. I haven't put it together yet. I had a busy week. See, when you're CEO and janitor and everything in between, it's hard to get anything really truly accomplished in a week because and then also you got a puppy at home that you can't leave in a cage all day. That was a mistake. But whatever, I'm stuck with it now. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. When we move out there, I'm not going to be able to pop home real quick to let her out. Maybe everything should stay as it is. I might lose you when I go into the enchanted forest, but stick around. Don't go anywhere. Thinking I might venture back to Gettysburg in January. How is it down there that time of year, other than the weather? January is particularly good because there's no other days month, and January is just so dead. Not good if you're a business owner and you're year round, but if you're someone who needs a break from hordes of people, January is your time. You're gonna have a lot of wind to deal with. Even a 50-degree day feels like a 20-degree day with some of the winds out there. Oh, don't mess with lightning was struck once, and that's crazy. I didn't really do any of that with the lightning. Rich says, I saw what you did there, Rupert Holmes. Thank you for catching that. Thanks, Matt. Now for the rest of the day, pina coladas stuck in my head. Sorry, Russell. Scott Hartwigs, I dread the thought of the place is supposed to arrive tomorrow. After wearing myself out on the battlefield, I get to come home and relax by starting 900 pages on Antietam. Yeah, I got to get both of them now. I told him I was going to wait for both volumes to come out and then get them. I got to have them on the show. So let me ask you this, and this obviously is a question for the patrons, because if you're not a patron, you couldn't possibly answer it. I was thinking of expanding, the idea was to learn more about Gettysburg on Patreon by doing as they call them, deep dives, which I fucking hate that term, but I don't have a better one. Micro histories, maybe? Anyway, which I also hate. I don't know why we have to put micro, macro in front of everything now. It's so annoying and it's so pompous. Anyway, going in a little deeper on the history of the Battle of Gettysburg, but then I'm thinking, why not, if follow me here, if we say that Gettysburg is the gateway drug to the Civil War, and free episodes are like free samples that a drug dealer get to get them hooked, right? So Ask a Guide, narratives, free episodes, those are your samples. Now you're hooked. You want to learn more about the Civil War through the lens of Gettysburg, then you become a patron. So we've started to do this already, and what has dictated this has been the books that we receive from UNC Press. They're not all about Gettysburg, they're about the Civil War in general. And so, they send us books, and I'm like, all right, well, whatever, it's still Civil War, and let's have the authors on. And in doing so, I'm kind of like, you know what? I think this is the way to go, is just do more Civil War, the war itself, everything about it, the political, the social, the economic, the military, just whatever comes across our radar, as long as it takes place between 61 and 65, and we have, we can get an author or expert on about it, let's do it. So my question to patrons is, would that be cool? I know for Jon Stewart, karaoke is not cool on a comedy show, but everybody else, for the history shows, would that be cool? Peter, when I lived in PA and was at G-Burg regularly, I always enjoyed the winter months more than the summer ones. The terrain is much more discernible for a serious student of the tactical study. He's very, very true, Kevin. Very true. You can definitely get a better sense of things just by looking at it, from a distance. The grass. Tom Canavan, what's a little rain? At least we're not wearing woolen underwear in the heat and no one's shooting at us. Exactly. Living in a van down by the river really isn't a terrible idea. I mean, that's literally like a whole generation of people have decided to live in vans down by the river. I mean, I follow a bunch of Instagram accounts, these youngsters. Where the hell they get the money for this, I don't know, but they refit these vans and then just travel across the country and live on the road. I am so jealous of that. I would love to do that, but I can't stay away from my blood pressure pills this long. It's like, God, what? So I didn't fit in with my generation because I thought in some ways like the current generation. So I guess I was ahead of my time. Like I wanted that kind of nomadic life, but no one would go along with it. You were considered a bum or a hobo, which is the same thing back then. But now it's a lifestyle choice, which is ridiculous, but also cool. Kind of jealous. I'm going to park here in the shade and I'm going to read your comments because I'm really behind on them, apparently. Um, I'm not sure they deal with rentals, but I will ask them. Please, please do. I mean, they might know someone who owns properties. That's, maybe not officially. Good morning, Debbie. We missed you on the show last night. Hope you're doing well. Guest bedroom, so I don't have to pay for a hotel room. Yeah, well, that's what it is. We call it, well, we named it after her daughter, or a guest room, because her daughter, when she comes back from college, will stay there, and if we have any guests over. Guess Cindy is that lightning bolt that finally struck you. Yeah, I think you're right, Tom. I always thought that was fairy tale stuff. Kevin, we're in central New York. Oh, my cousin Caitlin lives in Fairfield. Oh, really? Finger Lakes area between, okay. I think Carmichael lives near Fairfield, doesn't he? No, he lives just out of town. I think he's off the Fairfield Road in one of those neighborhoods, but he's not out in Fairfield. Oh, that'd be awesome to be neighbors with Pete. Just hang out, have beers, argue over what a historian is. Kevin and I get out that way every so often to Newtown Battlefield. Okay, yes, that's a personal conversation. You better sign the lease and move this weekend. College students come back this week. Oh, they're back. They're back. This is out in Fairfield. College kids don't go out there. Yes, that's a nice battlefield. Okay, like a patch and happy Friday. Thank you, Michael. Eric starts you on Gettysburg, and next thing you know, you're boofing Fredericksburg. Great idea, Matt, says Russell. Beautiful morning drive. Michael put a buffering wheel. That's pretty cool. Where do you get that? Parker site near. Okay. There are many rabbit holes you can go down. I was thinking about Dahlgren Affair when you had Eric Wittenberg on. He wrote a great book. Yeah, exact. Well, so when Eric was on afterwards, I said, Eric, you've written so many cavalry books. I want to have you back on. And he's like, yeah, anytime. So we're going to do more with Eric based off his cavalry books. Folks, let me tell you, it's 73 degrees and there's a nice breeze. It's gorgeous today. Oh, my God. Now I understand people that go to nudist camps. Yeah, so, okay, wait. No, I just lost what I was... Yeah, Rich's comment there. Right. So that got me thinking, I've been thinking going this way for a while now because we've been recording shows that are off topic. But, or not off topic. Well, I mean, they're off topic as far as they're not about Gettysburg. But I think, why not? Why not? Why should we be so myopic? Why shouldn't we, broaden our horizons and use Gettysburg as a catch-all or a bait, use it as bait to lure people in to learn about the whole war. And it is fascinating. I mean, these books that have come out, you'll see as we continue on, but, the episodes we've released so far on Patreon this year, a lot of them have to do with social aspects. Funerals, what else? Love, different things in that realm. And I find it interesting. It's nice to kind of take a step away from the gore of the battlefield and see what was life like for those who weren't on the battlefield. Because life went on. People had jobs, people had babies, people lost loved ones. Everything that goes on in life was going on during the war back home. But North and South, it was different. What it was like back home. I just find it all fascinating, and I think it has served all of us well in that as Addressing Gettysburg has gone along, I let my interests dictate what we do a show about. And it just so happens I find out after I put that out that you guys really liked it. And so I think I'm going to just keep doing that and just follow my interests and take you along with me, and we'll learn it together, like I used to say. And Bob's your uncle. We'll always talk about Gettysburg, though. Gettysburg is our main wheelhouse, especially on the free feed. But on Patreon, that's where you really get to. It's like college, I guess. Like, let's look at it like college, right? You have to pay for college, and then you get, theoretically, you get a full breadth of knowledge in your chosen field. Kevin says, yep, and I used to cut trees and Okay. I think expand to more would greatly expand the show and viewers. I agree. Few folks I introduced the show to have said it would be nice if it covered other parts of the Civil War. They love the style of the show. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, and that's the thing. They have that, but they've got to become members. So here's a little behind the scenes thing. Gettysburg is Googled more than Chickamauga or Fredericksburg or Antietam or whatever. The Gettysburg Address is Googled quite often. So addressing Gettysburg betters your chances of being found, and that will lure people in. So you give them what they want for free, Gettysburg, right? But then you put behind the paywall what they need, which is more history, more Civil War. And then that's also a way to make sure that you can eat as the creator. And I don't know too many people with Patreon accounts that actually look at it that way, where your job is actually Patreon. My job is to the patrons. My obligations are to the patrons, because they make my life possible. Like, not my life, my lifestyle, my ability to put a roof over my head possible. And so I feel that it's my duty to give them episodes where they're paying for them. And I think a lot of people have a Patreon account, but they'll throw an episode out once in a while, but they focus on the free stuff. And I think it's backwards. I think that's backwards. You got to do free stuff because that's how you attract people. But it depends, I guess, if you want to make a living off of it. Most people that do it, that I know of, like that I know personally, already make a living doing something else. So the Patreon is to offset costs or something like that. It's not to make a living. But I decided to roll the dice because I tried for 2 decades to make it in your world, ladies and gentlemen, the normal person's world. And I don't get it. I'm sorry. I just don't get it. And I couldn't. And I kept failing over and over again because I was working at something that was not me. And it wasn't something that I could contribute to and be productive in as an employee. It was mind-numbing for me, whatever jobs I found. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going for broke. Because and many of you, especially the patrons, you've heard this story. When I started this, I was coming out of being suicidal. So I was like, you're never going to do that again. So you better make your life worth living. And so forget about all your fears, because fear is what led me to being nothing. And so I was like, get rid of the fucking fear and go for it, whatever it is. And then I figured out what it would be, and this was it, and I went for it, and here we are. So it works. Fear is the worst thing. Tom Canavan, riding and living out of a van. Have you not seen any horror movies? I know. Well, it's only the young people that get killed in the horror movies, so I'll be all right. Matt, good morning, says David. Good morning, David. Kevin, yep, but do a lot of... Okay. Peter, okay. It's wet and raining up north now. That sucks, Paul. You guys have been getting a lot of rain. Oh, it's perfect down here. I mean, I know you can see it, but I got to tell you, it is more perfect than it looks. Hey Matt, if there's a nudist camp near me, Summerhill, bring Cindy up to check out. No. How about no? How about no, Scott? Well, if you'd study Sullivan's 1779 campaign through the Finger Lakes area to wipe out the Iroquois, then you're familiar with where I'm at. Okay, that's still that conversation. Seems the town of Gettysburg itself is also morphed into from just the battle to the history of Adams County. It's geological and yeah, I noticed that a lot of it's funny, when I left here in 2010, everything was still centennial. And by that I mean a lot of the businesses that existed for the tourists started during the centennial, and now we're being run by the children of the founders or the grandchildren of the founders. And really outdated. They'd seen their day, and they were basically surviving off of nostalgia. And in their defense, why innovate if you own the property outright and it's just, except for your operation costs, it's basically just profit that you got? Why change, right? Until you get to the point where no one's coming anymore because you haven't changed. And then you're like, well, I don't know what to do because I inherited this. So I didn't actually build it. I don't really know how to run it. And I don't know how to improve it. So they fell by the wayside for various reasons. And then the businesses that have sprung up since I left, when I came back, and then when I... since I've come back, have been unique and not battle related. And I think that was smart, because I don't think the public is there anymore. If they want to go to a town that is all about one thing, they'll go to Colonial Williamsburg, which isn't even a real town. But if they're going to come to a real town, they want the things that they're used to back home, which is, bars that stay open until 2 o'clock, talking to the majority of the restaurants here, and stores that stay open past 5. And, they want that stuff. And they don't necessarily want to be inundated with tchotchkes and T-shirts everywhere they go and battle this, battle that. And I know that we look at it as, well, that's the reason you come here, but it's not. There's 2 reasons to come here: the history, the battlefield, and the thriving, somewhat hipster town that we have. And then there's all the other things that you could do in the county, in the surrounding areas. So there's a lot Gettysburg has to offer to people, as long as you don't move here. Now that I'm in the club, let's close the door. But seriously, the Adams County has a lot to offer people. Gettysburg is a great place to stay. It's frankly really the only place to stay. I mean, there's motels and hotels along the way in the county, but buyer beware. This is the place. This is the hub. And it's also a great, I gave this advice to a lady when I worked at Getty's Bike. She called to set up a bike tour, and she told me that they were staying in Lancaster, and they were going to jut out to Gettysburg for the day and then back to Lancaster, and then the next day jut out to somewhere else and then back here. And I said, no, you have that backwards. You need to stay in Gettysburg. Gettysburg's your hub. And I go, look at it on a map. There's 10 roads going in every direction. You stay here, and you can go anywhere. And, within an hour, maybe an hour and a half, you've got so many things that you can go and do and see right here in Gettysburg. We have hotels, and Lancaster sucks. No offense. I'm just saying Lancaster sucks as a place to use as a hub because, I don't know, it's just different. Just the way Gettysburg is set up. Like, if you look at it, it's just... So, she, I guess, took my advice, and then the following week, after the weekend was over, she actually called me back, because I wasn't on. She was doing a weekend tour, and I didn't work on the weekend, so I didn't talk to her. But she actually called me back on that next Monday, and she said, I took your advice, and you were right. It was great. The hotel was great. We could walk to restaurants, and then everywhere we went to visit, was just, boom, a different way out of town. So Gettysburg is an awesome place to come for 1.5 million reasons. When you visit Chickamauga Chattanooga Park, they brag about being designated a national military park prior to Gettysburg. Um, well, my argument to them would be, who cares? Who the hell cares? What? So what? So what? What? Chickamauga Chattanooga? What? What after that? You say we were the first. What does that? What does that get you? Nothing. I'm not able to be a patron at this time, but I think the expansion to cover the whole war is a great idea. Thank you. I agree, and that's you don't have to be a patron, Donald. I'm not. We'll still do plenty of free stuff. But yeah, I appreciate that. I'm glad you found your niche, Matt. Me too, Marie. Me too. And I think people that would have had to bury me are glad as well. It kind of sucks seeing some of the cool old stores from the early 2000s replaced with palm readers and jewelry stores. Yeah, those stores weren't from the early 2000s, though. I mean, I think I know what you're talking about, like Greystone. But a lot of the other places have been there since the 1960s. Like, they were on the wane. Well, having a restaurant that is open till 1 a.m. would be nice, too. Yeah, I know. Top of the freaking morning to you, Agent Bambi. Gene says, Addressing Gettysburg is my favorite channel on YouTube. Your content is brain food, really. Also, thank you for introducing me to the AG Book Club. You're welcome. And don't forget the Addressing Gettysburg Film Club that is just starting up. Send an email to agfilmclub1863@gmail.com, and Casey Turbin, the film club's leader, will, what will he do? He will give you whatever the hell he's going to give you to let you know about whatever the hell he's planning. I don't know. I'm not planning it. I don't run it, just like the book club. It's run by two very capable people, Steve Byers with the book club, Casey Turbin with the film club. Real go-getters, self-starters. I'm very excited for well, first of all, I know what Steve brings to the table because he's been doing it for, what was it, a year and a half or 2 years now? A while. And I hear nothing but great things about him. And he's just really got his shit together. And Casey, I know him for about 2 years, and I've seen him, I've worked with him on things. He does our live sound when we do in-person shows, and he is another guy who's got his shit together, and he's always thinking, and he's been a great support to Addressing Gettysburg. So I'm very excited for you guys that join, because you're going to have a fun time. Marie misses the Wax Museum. You know, I'd never gone into the Wax Museum. Can you believe that? Have you tried Mr. G's Roadhouse yet? Mr. G's Roadhouse? I've never heard of that. I've heard of Mr. G's ice cream. There's Bambi, our fave, says Kevin. And then Bambi says, Kevo, you demand. I like Agent Bambi. The way the language is so hip and cool. Peter Zach says, I keep saying it, but your show is a complete new way to make history fun and extremely informative. Thank you. Thank you very much. I got nothing to add to that. Eric Koval, Mr. G's Roadhouse, starring Patrick Swayze. You spelled Swayze wrong, Eric. Come on. Out in the alleyway behind Gettysburg is something. And then Agent Bambi, have you ever heard of the Fourth Turning? Yes, Agent Bambi, and I agree. We are in it. Oh, what a shame. Why did I have to be born when I was born? Like, I'd rather be, as we're heading into the decline of our country, I'd rather be in my 80s and about to die anyway, or really young and stupid, so that when it all goes to hell, I'll be dumb enough to go out and fight, and it feel like I have something going on with my life. But I'm middle-aged, so it's like I'm neither. You know, it's like I'm in the convalescent reserves, or not convalescent. What was it called? Invalid. like we're just kind of, if things get really bad, then we're going to call on the middle-aged people before we get to the old people when it's all over. Happy freaking Friday, folks, says Patrick. Kevin says, of course, Bambi is hip. She's in Chicago. Well, that makes me think that she's a candidate for an insane asylum. Why anybody's still there and not clawing their way out, I don't know. All the cities. Crawl if you have to. Get out, ladies and gentlemen. Save yourselves. Ty says, I wish I would have visited back the park in the 80s or early 90s. I'm glad they removed all the business along the Emmitsburg Road, etc. But I would like an actual memory of what it was like before. Yeah, I know what you mean. There were a few, let's see, I'm trying to think. There were like some private residences on the Emmitsburg Road and on the Mumminsburg Road that I remember from my time when I started coming here, but they're gone now. There was Lee's Headquarters Hotel, that's gone. The trust has that now. And there was the what was it, the Home Sweet Home? I think it was Home Sweet Home Motel right next to General Pickett's Buffet. We're pulling into Bantam Roasters. Unfortunately, they don't have their trailer here, which is fortunate for them because that means they're out making money. They have 2 trailers, so that's pretty good. All right, let's see here. We don't want to. Okay, let's see. What are we saying? I want to. Okay, Angel Bambi. I wonder if the fourth turning was the catalyst to the Civil War. Do you happen to know? I don't happen to know, but I think I've heard someone talking about it, and I do. But well, it's like every 80 or so years, right? So we had the Revolution 80-something years before, 77 years before the Civil War. So I think that makes sense. LMFAO, not Chicago, you silly goose. Oh, well, I didn't say that. Happy Friday, on my way to Front Royal VA to rescue a new pup. Aw, congratulations, Charlie. I just got a new pup a couple months ago. And while I would be pulling out my hair if I had it, it is a rewarding experience nonetheless. Happy Friday, on my way back to, I already read that one. The view from Lookout Mountain at Chattanooga end of that park is worth the effort to get there for a visit. I'll keep that in mind. I've always wanted to go. Huge, oh, the Ford dealership. Yeah, Tom, that's right. That was another one. I was happy to see that go. Thought that was awful. Kevin says, I thought you were in Chicago, Bambi. Yeah, see? Matt says, when do you expect the Little Round Top restoration project to be done? 2032. Peter Zach says, haven't been to Gettysburg since 1999-2000. I'm going to have to discover the town all over again. Oh, there's some changes since then. I mean, nothing drastic, but yeah, things are different. Gene Hutchinson, I used to stay at the Home Sweet Home. Not a great place except for location. Yeah, that must have been cool to just stay there and, step out. I stayed at Lee's Headquarters once, and I thought that was really neat to just step out and there's the battlefield in the first thing in the morning. It was pretty neat. Matt, I didn't mean to dismiss your question about Little Round Top, but the answer to that is they don't have. Well, let's put it like this: they won't say an end date. They won't give us an end date because And I agree with this that it's an outdoor project, so they're completely weather dependent. And and I don't know if they're a labor union or not. If they are, then they're probably going to work far less than a non-union company would. So, no offense to people watching who are in unions, but it's true. I mean, really, come on. Highway projects that take 20 years to do a mile. So, yeah, they won't give a date, and I don't blame them, because if they do give a date, then everybody's going to think that's set in stone, and inevitably something is going to delay it by a month or two, and then people are going to be all up in arms because they didn't stick to the date. But you said it would be July 13th, 2025. And then they'll just have to deal with that headache. So I think it's very smart of them to not give a date. I'm sure you can find a projected date if you were to find the paperwork, which I'm sure is public. However, sorry, I'm not picking my nose. I was scratching something. Hey, look at that. Wait, hold on. There's the blade. There's the blade about to do a bus tour. Tom Bosley. Did he look? There he is. Eric Lindblade, the one and only. All right, Lee's headquarters was kind of an eyesore, and the gift shop was a cluster when you went into it. Yeah, I never went to the gift shop. I didn't like that there was a hotel out there, and then the ABC was there as well. There was the restaurant. Yeah, I didn't like that, but I'm glad it's gone. But I stayed there. It was cool. I always like to stay at Hers Ridge. What's your opinion of that place as a local? I've never stayed there. I hear it's nice. I've been inside the inn, and I thought it was very nice. What was it? Is it Sharpshooters, or is it the Livery again? No, it's the Livery now. We used to go to the Livery all the time. Haven't gone in a while. Had a meal that wasn't particularly good there, and I just don't have the stomach for it anymore. The only thing that's gone that I'm sorry I never experienced was the National Tower. Yes, likewise. I'd never gone up it. I did agree it was an eyesore, but on principle, I don't believe that a bunch of NIMBYs should dictate to someone what they can and can't do with their property and force them to, and then get the federal government to step in and steal the property, basically, because as I understand it, the family still hasn't received all the money that they're supposed to get from the federal government. But I might be wrong on that. That could just be the rumor mill. Was it scratch or a pick? Come on, Matt. Well, I had an itch here, but it was also inside a little bit, so it was like that. I have nothing to pick. I blew my nose this morning. Us old-time Gettysburgs hated that tower. I never went up, but I wish I had. Saw it demolished in 2000. I saw it too. I was standing over in Ziegler's Grove. If it was a tower like Biff Tannen's casino, I would have had a problem with it. I did think it was an eyesore, but the fact that it was, considered a classroom in the sky, to me, made it okay. Because it's a learning tool. But if that went out of business and then they sold it to somebody that made a disco up there, then I would be against it. So, its purpose, I guess, is what matters. And that, I don't like that I think that way, because I don't think, if you've got a right to have a property and to have a business on that property, then your purpose shouldn't matter. It's the same as, like, you have a right to make a sign for your business, and the town can write a permit for the size and shape, or maybe I don't even know about the shape, but the size of the sign, because they've got to think of safety, they've got to think of, eyesore or whatever. But what they're not allowed to do is tell you what you can and can't say on the sign, or even the colors. And I know this because a friend of mine used to be a sign maker, and he would show me case law, because the borough of Gettysburg violates just about everything. And so he was always butting heads with them. But he would show me case law that showed that he at least had grounds to believe that he was right in his arguments against the borough. And they were always questioning people about the wording of their sign. And I mean, just creepy. Look, just because you're elected to council doesn't mean you're qualified for anything. It just means a bunch of people that think voting matters were dumb enough to vote for you. But that doesn't mean you're qualified to nitpick at everything. And I think that's why our country's so screwed up, is because anybody can get elected to council. Anyway, my point is, I don't have a point. Peter says, well, at least Disney didn't want to put a park up at Gettysburg like Manassas. Yeah, I remember that too. I kind of agree now, Matt. The tower wasn't the worst commercial thing there. It was very useful. The Rangers always used it to point stuff out on their tours. Yeah. You know, what the tower was controversial from the moment it was proposed. You can go, I don't know if it's still there, but you can go and find an old 60 Minutes piece done about the Gettysburg Tower. And it's very interesting. And what was funny was I found that around the time of the casino fight here. And I was kind of involved in that, as I was pro-casino, because, again, content is, it doesn't, you have a right to content. And if you want to have a casino is not an illegal business in this state. I don't think, people have a right to tell you can't do that. Now, your next door neighbor is a different story, but people who live miles away, people who live in different states, kids, earmuffs, but fuck you. That's what I say about that. And Gettysburg at the time was a was a very seasonal town, an uber seasonal town. And I thought that a year-round draw like a casino would be good for the local economy. But the people who led the charge against the casino were transplants, NIMBYs, which stands for not in my backyard, if you don't know what that means, wealthy, elitist, and they had found their quiet little corner of the world here, bought it and retired to it, and didn't want a certain element from Baltimore taking bus trips up here, gambling, and then, of course, bringing heroin and prostitution and all that other stuff. But the reality of it is, the element that would have probably come here most often would have been old blue hairs and buses. And last I checked, they're not bringing prostitutes or heroin. But anyway, they were loud. They were a minority locally. The only reason it looked like they had a lot of public support was because they would get tourists to sign petitions and they would lie to them. And I know this because they had me first. I signed their petition. I believed their bullshit. And then I got to know people who were involved with the casino, and I actually saw the plans, and that the anti-casino people didn't see. And I was like, well, that's not what they told me when I signed the petition. And they're like, well, yeah, because they're lying to you. They have to lie to you in order to get you to be against this. And so then I became very staunchly pro-casino, A, out of spite, and B, because we needed a year-round economy. I don't think I haven't really changed my mind on that today. I changed my mind on the tower in a sense that, because I did think it was an eyesore, and I was in my early 20s when it came down. So what do I know about anything? Changed my mind on the Iraq War, but I haven't changed my mind on the casino at Gettysburg. I think it's a shame we didn't get it. I think the area could have done a lot better for itself if they had allowed it. And I'm curious to see how many of the no casino people who are still alive still live here. and what they're up to and why they're not fighting things like that 7-story building in town. Maybe they're just too old. Matt, cop from New Jersey here. Hello, Matt. Oh, yeah, I've met you, Matt. I think. Any thoughts on that Jeopardy Gettysburg edition I told last week with you hosting and Tim with Gary? Yeah. I have great thoughts on that. I think it's a great idea. I'll talk to them about it. The thing is, we'd have to come up with a different name because we can't use Jeopardy and put it out there. So we'd have to come up with a different Jeopardy-like game, you know? But yeah, I think that would be great. I think people would love to see that. So I like the idea, and I've thought of it, and the wheels are turning. Why did you retract that message, Matt? That was a good message. I'm old enough to remember the old Cyclorama building and old visitor center with the lighted map and cannon barrels. Talk about gateway drugs for kids. Yeah, I know. Agent Bambi, imagine wearing 3Ds of something and being able to watch the Battle of Gettysburg while walking around the... Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. I do imagine that. Yes, Thomas, I recall those old buildings well. We have similar people here who make many of our local laws based on the same people 2.5 hours away in Baltimore. It's amazing. Thomas Canavan says, I witnessed a burn 2 years ago at Little Round Top. Oh, yeah, seen that. Jennifer said, oh, what a beautiful morning. Morning, Matt and everyone. Good morning, Jennifer. Paul says, was on the fence for the casino, agreed about the need for something off-season, but being a law enforcement security at the time, the drugs and crime was the problem for me. Yeah, except all the places that, the last I checked, which was a few years ago, all the places that do have casinos here in Pennsylvania don't have all of the doom and gloom and crime. I mean, I think what the No Casino Gettysburg people did was they watched Back to the Future 2 and just took the scariest parts of it and said, this is what the casino will bring. And the reality of it is it's not Las Vegas. It's totally different. And I don't know. I don't think it would have been that bad. And, they would argue, well, the casino's not going to make anybody want to see the battlefield. They're all degenerate gamblers. It's like, you're such fucking idiots. They're all degenerate gamblers? No, they're not. They're old ladies. My grandmother used to go down to Atlantic City with her friends. They'd bring like a whole, roll of quarters and then go play the slots for fun. And they'd win a couple of bucks. That's what most people do when they go to a casino. Very few people have a serious gambling addiction like Veronica does. I mean, most people just do it for the fun of it and the hope that maybe I'll win something. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. What do I have to do? I have to go look at a house at 2:30. I've got to spend some time with Major before that. And I also have to go and edit some shows for release on Monday. So get us what that means, ladies and gentlemen. That means I need to go into Bantam Roasters, get my morning cafe, and then go be on my way over to the studio. So I'm going to do that. I know that there are people out there that can't stand when I mispronounce words like that, and it drives them absolutely nuts. And they're like, God, why would you fucking do that? Love it. Love it. Have a good one, Matt. You too, Paul. We have a casino in Erie. Nothing has changed. No kidding, Balthazar. No kidding. Exactly. Nothing has changed. Whatever. And whatever. You guys have yourselves a great day. Wait, all the anti-casino crowd are currently sitting at the video gambling machines at the local gas stations. Chris, that's a great point. And the other point was that they were trying to make is it's spitting on the memory of the soldiers by having a casino 5 miles from the battlefield. Meanwhile, we have how many clubs in town, which is Battlefield, that have games of chance? I used to work at one of them. I saw guys come in on payday every week with a big wad of cash and they would blow it. They had families, they had little kids to feed, and then of course a few of them later on got a divorce. She doesn't like me coming here gambling all the time. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. It happens everywhere, even at VFWs and American Legions and Elks and Moose and all those places. They've got these little games and shit. That's how they survive, by the way, is through the gambling. And so that's okay. I worked at the VFW hall, which is literally on the other side of the fence of the national park, which means it was battlefield. It is battlefield. Gambling was taking place there. At the time, you couldn't go and gamble at the video machines in gas stations, but 7-Eleven, all the Quickie Marts, they had lottery tickets. That's gambling. That's okay. And then now, as you point out, it's everywhere in gas stations. I see degenerates sitting at the 7-Eleven all day long playing that machine. I doubt they would go to a casino, to be honest with you. They do it at the 7-Eleven because they feel like they fit in at the 7-Eleven. They wouldn't fit in at a casino. They would feel like they would stand out like a sore thumb. So the no casino people, they're mum. I haven't heard a word about it from them. It was all politics. It was all bullshit. They didn't like the guy who was trying to do it because he brought Bike Week to town. And that's the bottom line. They're just stuck up old farts that had a grudge because the guy brought a bunch of noisy bikes to town. I can't stand Bike Week. I loved it back then. Well, I was in my 20s, I like noise and chaos in your 20s. Now I can't stand it. One of the reasons I can't wait to get out of town. But they have a right to do it, and I don't take it personally, and I don't get mad at the guy who brought the Bike Week to town or the Harley dealership to town, because that's business. But some people can't get out of their own way, and they can't see past the nose on their face, and all those other cliches. So anyway, that's it. Alrighty, mate, in chat. Have a great Friday. You too, agent. Give a place for those who stand in line at the gas station to go, I guess. We got a casino, no new crime, drugs, but did revitalize the mall that it was attached to. No kidding. So you're telling me that it brought people and money to town. Oh, I wish I could slap those people in their foreheads. Anyway, see you in the morning, Eric. And see you all at the tour tomorrow that are going to the tour. If you're not coming to the tour, you got 2 more opportunities after this. October tends to be the biggest one because the weather's the nicest, but September typically hasn't been bad. I can't believe the season's almost over. God bless America. Anyway, I got to get my coffee and go. You guys have a great one.